So, Jason, have you got any thoughts for the listeners to start us off with?
This is going to be a roller coaster of a show. In
a good way or a bad way?
I don't know. I'm drunk up to funk.
Hello and welcome to Sweet Connection. I'm your host, Catters. With me today is a very drunk Jason Lewis. Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk are you and also how are you? It's best to talk on a podcast, Jason, as opposed to just laughing.
I'd say 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
9 out of 10. I almost fell off my chair.
You did. What have you been drinking so far, Jason?
I've had...
Why don't you talk into the microphone rather than away from the microphone?
I don't know
you
where
dickhead.
I am. I've had mojitos and a nice can of Southern Comfort with lemonade and lime.
A can of Southern Comfort?
Yeah.
What an abomination.
5% alcohol. And
that's
I'm crying.
not a lot.
I'm crying for some reason.
You're crying.
Oh, man.
Now, Jason, you are finally wearing headphones, which is a long-standing dream of yours to record a podcast while wearing headphones like a professional. Now you are. How does it feel?
Honestly, I can hear myself, and I don't think I could love myself anymore.
Somehow, I don't think that our listeners will be sharing the same response. Now, last week on the show, we used these new microphones.
Yes.
And because we hadn't adjusted them properly, you were sounding quite staticky.
Yes.
Now, thankfully, I was fine. It was just you that sounded staticky. So hopefully, on this episode,
so basically
we will have fixed that. So it's just good quality sound.
Because you give me headphones and a microphone protector.
Yes.
I feel like you don't trust me.
I don't It's a microphone condom, so you can't spray your microphone STDs into the ears of the listeners, so they get hearing aids. It's an AIDS joke. We're 2 minutes in and I've done an AIDS joke. Anyway,
I'm drunk.
So Jason, we're doing a drunk episode. I can't
Slurred Connection.
I can't remember the reason why we're doing it, but so far I'm having a good time.
We thought it'd be quite funny, and let's be honest, I haven't drunk a lot, have I? I've had 2 drinks.
It's your third drink, but they've been spirits, so you have had quite a lot. Because, like, the first drinks we had, what were they, like, mock mojitos, but we added a shitload of rum to them?
Yeah. So, unalcoholic mojitos, then we added alcohol.
Yeah.
And that was tasty.
Tasty is the wrong word. I mean, like, it was, like, because you poured the drinks, and I was like, this isn't strong enough. And then I went into the kitchen and I poured the rest of your rum that you brought into them.
And what was my rum in? Let's answer that question.
It was in a milk carton. Now, why don't you explain to the listeners why you brought rum in a milk carton?
So,
we need to talk into the microphone, Jason, rather than face. We talk into it. There we go.
So
there's a good boy.
We got quite a large bottle of Captain Morgan's rum at home.
Had you forgotten the name of the brand?
And I weren't allowed to bring.
Strap in, listeners! It's going to be a fucking wild ride today. Are we gonna actually post this episode? Who knows?
Probably not.
There's a good chance, Jason, that I am going to listen to this back in the morning, and it's just going to be us burping and farting into a microphone, and I'll be like, I'm not releasing that. Anyway, carry on.
Laughing. That's all it is.
Anyway, carry on.
But we bought a big bottle of Captain Morgan's
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow's rum, and it was like £30 a bottle.
30 quid.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
We bought it last Christmas, and we still got it now. And I weren't allowed to bring the whole bottle because we had half a bottle left, so £15 worth. So my darling wife, who likes to look after me, poured what rum I was allowed into an empty milk bottle, and then wrote on the milk bottle, "Rum."
I like the fact that she wrote in felt tip marker rum, so that you wouldn't be like making your cereal in the morning, and you've accidentally grabbed the rum instead of the milk, and you've poured it into your Cheerios, and you're like, these Cheerios are a bit rummy today, aren't they?
That probably would happen.
Yeah, probably
That's
would.
the funny thing. That would happen. Super.
Fair enough. Anyway, so Jason, it seems natural to start off our first drunk episode. Hopefully, it's the first of many.
Are you drunk?
I wouldn't say I'm drunk, but then again, I'm a bit of a heavyweight.
I'm
but
fucked.
anyway, we'll get into that later. What's the drunkest you've ever been?
I broke my foot on the night out.
Did you?
Yeah.
How?
I had a few too many to drink, and in the pre-drinks, I drunk port.
Oh, yeah.
So it was Christmas 2 years,
cheeky
3
Vimto?
years ago.
Yeah.
Christmas 3 years ago, I was drinking port as a pre-drink.
Never a
and
good
I ended up
idea.
Drinking about half a pint of port for my pre-drink,
Fucking
and then I went
hell,
on a night
Jason.
out.
How quickly did you drink half a pint of port?
Hour, not half an hour. I downed.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And then on the night out, things didn't go my way. I weren't very happy.
I did it, Anyway, carry on.
I did it my way.
I think there'll be quite a lot of deviations. Even for us, there'll be quite a lot of tangents on this show. Carry on,
So
Jason.
anyway, I drank a lot of port, and on the night out, I had a few fish bowls, which is my
Why don't you
signature.
explain to some of our foreign listeners what a fish bowl is?
So a fish bowl at our local nightclub is basically just
a fish bowl.
A big bowl.
An empty fish bowl.
Yeah,
that
full of a little bit of vodka,
and
a
mostly
lot of cranberry juice, a lot of blackcurrant juice, and then a little bit more vodka. And that's about it.
So you end up paying about £8 for what is essentially one shot of vodka and a whole fishbowl worth of lemonade.
But it gets me off my rocker, so we're fine. But I had a few of them,
Yeah.
and then the night didn't go my way. I think I fell out with a couple of people. So
Of course you did.
I kicked the bench.
You kicked the bench.
I kicked the bench, and you're in trouble when you're drunk and you feel
and
pain.
you hurt. Yeah.
And I walked home, which is about a 2-mile walk.
You walked home after you broke your foot.
and I
How drunk were you?
Oh, off my rocker, mate.
Apparently so.
And I got home, obviously fell asleep, woke up in the morning, my foot was triple the size. Went to A&E. I went to A&E, and the doctor, funny enough, went, "I bet you £5 you've broken your foot." Turns out I didn't technically break it, but I never got that fiver.
Fuck you, NHS.
Fucking
I had a
bollocks.
similar thing, actually. It was many, many years ago, probably when I was about 16, which is actually arguably about 8 or 9 years ago.
Crazy,
Anyway,
isn't it?
carrying on. I got really drunk at a house party, as you do when you're 16 or 15.
I didn't.
No, because you had no friends. Anyway, moving on. I got quite drunk at a house party, and I started walking back. And you know how in Felixstowe there's one phone box left, and it's outside the Orwell Hotel.
There's one outside your house, do you know?
Oh, there isn't there? And,
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 phone boxes left. And anyway, I went up to one of them and in my drunk mind I was like, I'm going to punch this phone box, because in my head I thought I could beat I thought I could beat an inanimate object, and I punched the phone box and had never been to a doctor to see if it was broken. But if you can see, Jason, obviously the listeners can't, but if you can see the difference between this knuckle there and that knuckle there, there's a little deviation on that knuckle, there. You see that there
yeah.
compared to there, where I punched his phone box, and I guessing it broke my knuckle because there's a slight lump on my right hand knuckle where there's not on the left hand. So I too have broken a bone. So what other drunk stuff have you done when you're drunk? Sorry, that was a really weird question.
Good question.
What other stupid stuff have you done when you're
I've
drunk?
woken
'Cause
up
I've got a few lists.
I've
Carry
woken
on.
up from a night out and had a massive black eye, and still to this day, I don't know how I got it. I've told different stories to different people.
Shall I tell you how you got it? No, sorry.
So,
Carry on. So,
for what I can
what are some
remember,
of the stories you've told other people?
one of them was on a lad's holiday to Zante. I got kicked out of a strip club.
Is that true?
That is true.
Okay.
I
Have
got
you
kicked-
told your darling wife this? Because if not, she'll be listening to the podcast and thinking, Jason, why did you go in a strip
I
club?
think I've told her.
Okay.
She'll remind me after this if I have told her. But
I'm just saying, Laura, I have never been into a strip club. Carry on.
So we're in Zante, lads' holiday, and if you remember last week on the show, I was talking about my friend who got in a fight with a bouncer because he weren't allowed into a strip club
Correct.
in Norwich. Funny enough, this is the same friend. We shared a hotel room in Zante, and we sort of got to the sort of stage of night where you weren't on your own because there's a lot of people out there that sort of wanted to mug you, basically.
In Zante, really?
Yeah. But there's a lot of dodgy people about in
Thank you.
Zante. And my sort of room sharer at the time, he just broke up with his girlfriend before we went out.
Yeah.
And he went to me, "Look, Jason, we've been everywhere you've wanted to be tonight," which, by the way, all I wanted to go to was a kebab shop.
Of course you did.
And
That
he
I
came back
believe.
to me and went, "Look, we've been everywhere you wanted to be tonight. We're going to the strip club." Bear in mind, I only had €1 on me at the time. €1.
€1.
I spent all my money.
On what?
And to be fair, I
On
had
dances at the strip club?
Yeah, no. I had no. Gyros, the kebab shop is where I spent my money. I had €6 on me at the time, and we went into the strip club. Entry was, funny enough, €5. And Niall, I shouldn't have said his name.
It's fine, I will edit it out. Carry on. No, I won't. I'm leaving it in. Carry on.
And my friend,
your friend,
at the time,
who shall remain nameless, even though I'm definitely going to leave this bit in. It's fine. Carry on.
He had, I don't know how much money he had, but I only had €1 now after paying my entry to the strip club. And I was sat at the bar, and you got given a free drink on entry. So I had my free drink.
Which was
Niall had his free drink and went off and got whatever.
What was your free drink?
I had a Budweiser, which I'm not a beer drinker.
I fucking hate Budweiser.
And I'm not a beer
I am
drinker.
a beer drinker, and I hate Budweiser.
So I had a Budweiser. My friend,
he's
went
drunk,
off and went off and done whatever does he wanted to. And the amount of strippers that came up to me and was like, "Oh, hi there. Would you like a dance?" I was like, "Sorry,
I've got €1.
I've only got €1.
Unless you're willing to just flash a nipple, I'm not sure what I could get for €1.
And about the third stripper that came up to me afterwards that I rejected because I only had
€1.
The manager of the club came up to me and was like, "Look, sir,
can you fuck
I'm
off?
going to have to ask you to leave because you're not actually going to use my staff services." And I was like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for my friend." And I pointed over to him, and he was in the middle of a duo dance.
2 people, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was just like, oh.
So what you should have said is that he has basically bought 2 dancers, which sort of equals me and him's quota. So he can use 2, I can use 0, and it's almost like we've both bought a dancer. So actually, sir, I believe I should be allowed to stay in this establishment.
So, to cut the long story short,
and this is a really long story. This is the longest story we've had on the show. We're nearly 14 minutes in, Jason.
I waited outside for him.
Yeah.
On my own.
Is that the end of the story?
That's the end.
There we go. That was worth the wait, wasn't it, guys? Email in. Was that the best story you've heard? The Sweet Collection at outlook.com. Anyway, Jason. Jason, we're nearly 15 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about our new Facebook and Twitter. No. That I had intended to be the first thing we talk about. Anyway. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Why don't you talk a little bit about our new Facebook and Twitter?
So in the middle of preparing for the Slurred connections, by the way, I've got a cold, so I apologise for my voice.
Do you?
I have now.
I didn't even notice, but carry on.
So we made a Facebook and Twitter page. So like us on Facebook at Sweet Connection Podcast, and like us on Twitter.
We are at SweetC_podcast.
Unfortunately, Sweet Connections Podcast was taken up, but
who the fuck took that?
I don't know, but
shall we find them and fight them to the death?
We will end them.
So, Jason, you told me a few edgy stories earlier on that you thought we couldn't air on the podcast, but I'm going to encourage you to at least talk about one of them. So you said to me, right, that you received some mail.
Oh
no! From the old person who used to live at your house.
I can't talk about this subject,
but you're going to anyway. So what do you take the story from there? So you received some mail from the old resident of your house.
Old resident.
Yes.
Of my house.
Yeah, okay, yep. I want you to talk about what happened next.
So we received a letter in the post, which, funny enough, didn't actually have a name on it. So,
That is not the story he told me, but carry on.
Could be to me, could be to someone else.
Could be to you, could be to me, could be to you.
And
could be to the Chuckle Brothers. Carry on.
As it was a blank name, I opened the letter up.
Illegally opened mail that wasn't yours. That's fine.
So I opened the letter, and there was a Christmas card.
Yeah, which is A, a bit early, and B, illegal.
So I opened said Christmas card, and it happened to be £5.
5 Imperial credits, which you still have in your wallet, so you could still send
Not
it.
Anymore.
Not anymore. Oh yeah, because we went to the shop.
Sweet Connection, sponsored by some randomer who paid me £5.
Because because I picked you up and we went to the shop so we could buy some alcohol before we got here. And I saw you get £5 out of your wallet. And it's only now that I'm realising it was the £5 you stole from some sweet old lady. God.
Well, if we're being honest,
and we're not.
Put a name on the card.
Very true. Put a name on the card.
Learn where someone lives. So, it's not my fault. It could have been to me. Well, that Christmas card is hanging up on our Christmas
sort of your
card
fault, though,
collection.
isn't it? It is pretty much, it is entirely your fault.
It is.
Anyway, Jason,
It's not.
definitely is. So, Jason, last week, my challenge was to sit down for peeing for a week.
Oh, don't tell me you actually done
which
it.
I did. It's not that funny, but I'll take it. And so I sat down whilst I had a pee this week, just for this show. So it is always good to know that the hosts will do whatever it takes for the show. And
Superb.
it was really weird sitting down. Like I felt that I took much longer urinating than I would normally take.
It's a bit of a treat, isn't it?
Like it. It almost seems like I was a woman because I was sitting down and doing it. Anyway, so I sort of feel like it took more out of my working week, so that you have actually cost my work money by me being off for half an hour over the week longer than it would usually take.
But weren't you feeling really happy about it?
I felt quite refreshed.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is, if you sit down for a wee after someone has bleached the toilet, that's when you're in trouble.
Thank God you said bleach the toilet and not bleached your arsehole.
Only on every other Wednesday.
Would you ever bleach your arsehole?
Yes.
Okay. That was a very quick answer.
Ends that.
That was a very quick answer.
Yeah, sit down on the toilet. It's quite nice.
Your voice is even dodgier when you've had a few drinks than when it's normally you're like Scooby-Doo on fucking crystal meth.
Scooby-Doo!
Shall we talk about cyclists?
Funny enough, this weren't meant to be in the show, but after you picked me up this evening, because I'm going to walk home, or hopefully your girlfriend will give me a lift home. But
maybe, who knows?
Hopefully, I don't know where she is, and
not here at the moment, so who knows?
The show is coming to an end, and I need a lift home.
It's not coming to an end. We've got 35 minutes left. Carry on.
But a cyclist, whilst you were driving home, went into the middle of the road.
He was about.
You went into some rage that I've never experienced before.
Yeah,
Carry on.
I often find that, this cyclist, right? I expect a cyclist to be within 2 feet of the curb. Okay? He shouldn't be taking up space in the middle of the road, especially not on a bend where I can't see if there are any cars coming the other way. And this cyclist was about, 6-7 feet into the road, half.
I'd say 2.5 foot.
I'd say 7 feet. Anyway, he was
7 foot is the other side of the road, mate.
He was quite far into the road, shall we say? And so I had a few expletives that I said quite loudly in the car.
I think you said cunt.
I'm pretty sure that I used that word more than once. And
sorry, Mum, if you're listening.
And frankly, I want to find him and I want to hit him very hard with a sack full of bricks. Because
the funny thing is, I know who the cyclist is, but I didn't want to tell you at the time.
No, you didn't.
His name is Steve Graham.
Probably ed out his last name. So his name is Steve. Say that name is Steve.
That was a lie.
Oh, it's a lie, is it? I thought you knew him.
No, I don't know any cyclists. They can fuck off.
Okay, now Here's what I hate about cyclists, right? Have you ever been driving on the road, right?
Yes.
And you've seen two cyclists who are not one in front of the other.
Oh!
Wait a second, I'm not finished yet, Jason.
I know where you're going to go.
Rather than being one in front of the other, so it's a very streamlined row of cyclists so you can just drive past. There's one cyclist on the left-hand side of the road, and one on the right-hand side of the road, almost like they are taking up the width of a car.
Yeah.
So you can't overtake them safely without going over to the other side of the road. Now, I'm fully aware that that is perfectly legal. I'm also saying it's perfectly legal for me to drive down the M1 at 35 miles an hour. But also, it's very fucking dangerous. So why don't anyone who's listening to this show who is a cyclist, stop, if you do ever ride, one on the left-hand side of the road and one on the right-hand side of the road, taking up the entire lane, why don't you stop doing that? Because honestly, I will run you over one day.
I know what you mean. The worst I find is when you find a parent out cycling with their child.
I'd rather they ride on the pavement, to be honest.
But the worst thing is you find like a parent and a child out cycling and the child is out the back and the parent is in front.
Yeah.
So the parent has no idea where the child is. I might have ran them over twice.
And you probably
don't know because they're in front. And then the kid is cycling all over the place. And then obviously you overtake them. But the parent is none the wiser because they're in front. When I was a kid and I went out cycling, my mum was always in front of me. That's a little thing that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Is a parent in front of the child. Don't be a fucking idiot. I might run your kid over.
So it should be that the kid is in front of the parent.
The kid should be in front of the parent.
So that they can protect them from cars on the back.
So if the kid is wobbling all over the place like a fucking obese child that it probably is...
You can talk, Jason.
Go on the fucking path and then let the parent...
Oh my God.
Let the parent, cycle behind so they can see. Whereas if the parent is cycling in front, I'm going to run over your kid because you're a neglected child. Parent. Because you're a fucking idiot. Sweet connections, I'm fucked.
Okay, fair enough.
That's where we're going from here.
Okay, Jason, what?
That noise. I
What
put
noise?
my drink down.
Yeah, because if you wear headphones, then you hear the vibrations when you knock the table. Anyway,
man.
I'm going to edit this bit out.
This is
So
awful.
note to me, editing later, edit this bit out. Anyway.
Hi Ben, this is Jason. Just to let you know that we've had some few poor seconds in the show. Delete this and also buy Jason a McDonald's. Thank you.
I think that I might leave it in now. Anyway, carry on.
Do it like, mate.
Anyway.
I'm here for the sex appeal.
Fair enough. Anyway, Jason, I was in town the other week, right? And I saw one of our old teachers.
Oh.
Who I will call out of confidence Mr. L. Alright? Don't say his name on here.
Mr. Lecky.
Well, A, I said don't say her name, and B, that isn't the person. But anyway, so I saw this teacher in town.
Yeah.
Who I haven't seen in a very long time. And one of my only memories of him is that in about year 8, when I was in year 8, so I was about 13, he had a mental breakdown.
Brilliant.
Because he was in control of a quite rowdy classroom and he was shouting quite a lot, and then one of the students threw a bread roll at him and he went ballistic and he had a meltdown and he had to be escorted off the premises by the other teachers.
Wow. I missed all this.
Yeah, because I think that you were in a different school.
I was in Orwell, you were in Demon.
Yeah. I actually had an education, whereas you were just penned in
I just
to a cage.
Boxes in for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And look at us now.
And yet here we are. I'm the
Sweet
host.
Connection, sponsored by Poor Schools.
Jason, have you watched the latest series of I'm a Celebrity? Get me out of here!
Get me out of here! Yes.
Why don't you say that again, but not a staticky?
I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here!
Yep, fine.
I loved it. I love it.
So last week we spoke about the show starting.
Yes.
And we've had a week of broadcast.
Yes.
So why don't you... Okay, here's my first point about I'm a Celebrity.
Okay.
Right. Now, for viewers not in the UK, basically, right? Her 10 celebrities, they have to enter the jungle, okay? And usually, most of them enter the jungle by parachuting in to the jungle. And seeing as this show is about 14, 15 years old, it's been happening for quite a while.
Yeah, it's boring.
But yet, every time you watch the first episode of the show, every celebrity seems surprised by the fact they've got to parachute in. It's like, it's on the show every single time. What? How are you surprised? Anyway, Jason has just finished his drink, so why don't you open up a nice can of beer?
Don't worry, I've got a can of Southern Comfort and lemonade and lime.
That was, I apologise profusely for anyone listening to that through headphones. But anyway, so I'm always quite surprised that everyone's quite surprised by the fact they got a parachute in. Anyway, why don't we move on to some of our favourite bits? So,
Okay.
So actually, this year, I think, as I said last week on the show, it's actually quite a good year.
It is, isn't
seeing
it?
as I know quite a lot of the people who are in the show.
There's a lot of changes to the show, but funny enough, there's a lot of changes, but not a lot of difference.
Celebrities?
Yeah, if that makes sense. Obviously, we had a new co-host, but the whole show seems exactly the same, which is really good. I love it.
It is a pretty good show.
Yeah.
So, so far, my favourite is Anne Hegarty, who's off The Chase, and I love The Chase. As I've said on the show before, I love The Chase. She actually on the first episode was talking about how she has autism,
Yes.
which was basically news to everyone because we didn't really realise she had autism. So if you have autism, then if you're thrust into a new crazy environment, it just doesn't compute with you. And therefore, you are going to be like a little bit like, fucking hell, this is a whole new environment. Suddenly, I'm in the fucking jungle. What's
this
going
show
on?
is 10 times harder for her than it is for anyone else.
Correct. So, I fully respect her for going on the show knowing it was going to be a lot harder for her than it was for everyone else. So, on the show that I saw, she went into a bush tucker trial where she had to be, she was sealed into a rock, and she'd have like insects dropped on her whilst she had to undo like a padlock. And she got through one of the stages, and then
2 stars, didn't she?
Correct, which is 2 meals for the camp.
Yeah.
And then, whilst she was getting like slime and mealworms thrown onto her, she suddenly said, "Okay, fucking now it's enough. Please get me out of here." Jason has just drunk neat from the bottle of spice rum. That's probably not a good start. That probably isn't a good sign. But anyway,
We're going out tonight, mate. We're going to the clubs.
I asked you earlier, shall we go out? And you were like, "No, Ben, I can't go out." But now he's fucking up for it. Anyway,
I'm still going out.
moving on. So she only got 2 stars for her camp.
Yeah.
That was the last show that I saw. Why don't you tell me what's happened since? Because I know that we've had another celebrity arrive, which is Noel Edmonds.
Honestly, I fucking love Noel Edmonds. And the funny thing is, the
Fireworks.
Did the door just go?
No, it's fireworks, I think.
Oh, fucking cunts. Did they not listen to the show last week? We were talking about how much we hated fireworks. The fucking knobhead. So yeah, now the fireworks is finished. Noel Edmonds. Really love Noel Edmonds.
Are we going to talk about the fact that when I said there were fireworks, that we both looked out the window to have a look at the fireworks, and you banged your head on the window?
Should we talk about the whole trail of events from where we paused the recordings? So, you paused the recordings and looked out the window.
And then you came in like a fucking bull in a china shop, and you smashed your head against the window. It's like, I can't see the fireworks. Bang. Jesus.
I genuinely don't remember. And then you went for a wee.
I didn't think you were that drunk, but like...
I don't know what's happened.
You just went to the toilet, and you presumably sat down while you had a piss, anyway. And you walked in...
I did.
And you walked in, and you fucking nearly collapsed when you walked in. Like,
funny enough, you've got a beanbag right next to the door.
And so you nearly collapsed into the bin. Like, I'm only personally like a little bit tipsy.
Oh, fuck,
you
mate.
are absolutely wrecked.
You're going to have to take me home somehow.
We've drunk the same amount of alcohol. Anyway, I'm a celebrity, Noel Edmonds.
I'm a celebrity.
Let's try and get through this
Noel
episode,
Edmonds.
shall we? Yeah, Noel Edmonds.
What I really like
PC,
is they've obviously got Noel Edmonds as, you know, the new person, and they've tried to bring him in. I don't know if you've watched it, as the Emperor.
I've seen parts of it, so Emperor, yeah.
And what I really like is that he's obviously been given the role as the Emperor, as to, from a TV point of view, to really upset the rest of the camp.
I think.
But, yeah,
okay.
like, obviously, if you're someone's new coming in telling you what to do, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And a couple of band campmates, like Malik.
Band campmates. I was confused by that. Carry on.
Nick Knowles. Who,
I fucking
open
love
brackets,
Nick
by the way, I fucking love
Nick Knowles. All right,
his voice.
Shout out
sent
for
me
Nick
to
Knowles,
sleep.
by the way.
Nick Knowles, if you're listening, I would
Come on the
love
show.
to spend the night snuggling with you. But the rest of anyway,
there are so many possible episode titles for this show so far.
Nick Knowles, if you're listening, I like to snuggle with you.
Carry on.
We need to just call it Slurred Connections.
I don't know, because there's some
Anyway,
really good quotes. Carry on.
And obviously Nick Knowles has come in to be like this anti-person in the group. But however, obviously because it's Nick Knowles, no it's not.
Noel Edmonds.
Noel Edmonds.
Don't tap my laptop. Right, this is Laura's laptop. As I said to you when we were making the Facebook page, if you spill alcohol on this laptop, Laura will, and I quote, fuck you up.
Doesn't matter. She's not listening to the show.
Very true. Carry on.
Yeah, so Nick Knowles, no.
Am I saying carry on too much? I feel like I am, but carry on.
Noel Edmonds has been added to the group in order to upset everyone else.
Is that his, like, mission?
Well, no, because he's added as the Emperor and he sets the rules. Obviously,
Right,
you're not going to like someone who sets the rules. However, everyone loved Noel Edmonds. And so far, live right now, which we're missing because we're recording this piece of shit, is
This gold.
an eating trial with Noel Edmonds and Harry Redknapp. Side note.
I cannot wait until we watch this and then
Side
next week
note,
talk about it.
Harry Redknapp is a former Tottenham manager.
Yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm meant to hate Harry Redknapp.
Harry Redknapp's amazing.
This
I love
programme
him.
is making me love Harry Redknapp, and I fucking hate it.
He's a legend, Harry
I
Redknapp.
fucking love him. And it really upsets me. Other than that, I haven't been watching a lot of TV this week.
Anyway, Jason, I've got an actual real-life anecdote that I wanted to talk to you about. It was really weird, and I'd like to share it with you.
Okay.
Basically...
This is the time to do it.
Basically, on like it was like Wednesday or Tuesday. It was about 9:30 at night. Right, I was in my home gym, right, which is basically like a sort of a brick outhouse in my garden.
Uh-huh.
It was dark, and I heard this male voice shout "help," and I was like, "Okay, fine."
Oh.
And I sort of left it for a bit, and then I heard him shout "help" again, and then I heard him shout "help, help! Why won't you fucking help me?" So I was like, "Okay, now I've got to find out what's going on." So I ran out the gym, and I ran out my back gate.
Ran out the gym
In my gym gear, which is a t-shirt and very short shorts. Anyway,
Mankini, I heard.
in my leotard, I ran out the gym. And I ran out my back gate, and seeing as my house is basically on like a corner, isn't it?
Yeah, corner plot,
and
extra value.
And the corner which it is by is basically like an unlit, unmanned road. So I ran out the road, and I ran towards the noise. And as I turn the corner, I see two guys, hoods up. All right. And from my perspective, one of the guys is screaming in the other guy's face. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Now I'm part of this. Now I can't turn back because the other guy's seen me. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Anyway, so I may as well carry on towards them. So I like sort of walk up towards them and I wave my hand like, hi.
Hello, my name's Ben.
So I'm like, hello, gentlemen.
I've just finished one hot and steamy session. I can finish another one.
Isn't what I said. I said, hi, lads.
Oh, dear.
I just heard someone shout, help. Are you okay? And one of the
fucking Captain America.
and one of the guys like spotted me and was just like, a little bit like, fuck you know. So he looked at me and I was like, all right, guys, are you okay? And this guy went from screaming in this other guy's face, and he looked at me and was just like, yeah, mate, never better. and he waved at me, and then they just walked off. And I was just like, okay. and
if you ask me, Ben,
I'm trying to figure out what they were doing, because like one would assume if they're on a darkened street corner with their hoods up, that they're probably doing something, shall we say, less than legal. However, yeah, he was shouting, "Help! Help! Why won't anyone fucking help me?" That's why I ran out there, because I thought someone had been hurt, or there was a fire or something, or someone had a heart attack, right? So I'm confused why two people with their hoods up, who are presumably doing something quite illegal, would shout
marijuana.
Yeah, who are selling marijuana would shout, "Help! Help! Why don't someone fucking help me?" Which would do nothing but draw attention to their illegal activities, which is what I'm quite confused by. So I haven't got an explanation for what they were doing. Have you got any explanations for what they were doing?
What this sounds like to me, Ben, is that funny enough, we were talking about this before the show about linking my business and your page together. It sounds like you need to sell your home. And I can sell your home for 0.6% plus VAT, and I can get you out of this shithole.
That's the estate agent in you, pouncing on an opportunity.
But honestly, let's think about it. So it was two guys.
Two guys. Yeah, hoods up. One of them was shouting into the other guy, like literally almost nose to nose.
Yeah.
So like sort of my thoughts when I walked into their view was like, oh my god, someone's done like a dodgy drug deal, it's gone wrong, and someone's threatening them with a knife.
Right, we've been joking about this, but what was you wearing? I
was wearing some short shorts and pretty much a skin-tight t-shirt.
Oh, wow.
Now,
that's a sight for sore eye. Or say, for example, a young
He saw a big fat guy walking towards him, was like, fucking
or like a young woman.
He's going to eat me.
What would his reaction be? What would he then do? What were they doing?
They were just, because I only saw them when he was screaming into the other guy's face. I don't know what they're doing beforehand. All I know is that he shouted about 15 seconds beforehand, help me, and then was just like, why can't you fucking help me, is what he shouted. Now, I'm quite surprised that they didn't get any people who were a bit closer than me, like, run out, because, like, I was not the closest person to them, okay, because there were, like, a few people who lived opposite, who were arguably closer, and it was only me who ran out. So
this is interesting.
So I'm a bit perplexed about why they shouted help me if they were doing something dodgy, which I'm assuming they were because their hoods were up. But they were face to face. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know whether like one of them had like some mental health issues.
Oh, must be.
It was really weird, but like here was a guy who was screaming into the other guy's face, who went from 1 second was shouting at the guy's face to then looking at me and then seemed quite jovial, was like, yeah mate, never better, and he waved at me as they walked off. So
do you recognise him at all?
I didn't recognise him.
How old
no,
did they
his
look?
Fucking hoods were up.
They look older than you or younger than you?
Older than us, yeah. But like I've no idea. But like so either he was about to murder that person, and he just went into the shadows and I didn't see him murder them, in which case, maybe. I don't know what was happening.
Or maybe they're about to make love.
It was just aggressive foreplay.
Yeah.
I get really
help me.
I get really turned on when you shout, help me, why don't you fucking help me, into the street. Anyway, moving on. Shall we do Cat's Comment Corner? Shall we pause? Now, shall we actually pause this time rather than you talk? So shall we pause?
I might need another wee.
So shall we pause it now when you have a wee? Yeah?
Actually, I'm alright.
Okay, shall we... This is what I'm saying. Shall we pause now, yeah? And...
90 degrees, that's a corner. Tacky settee, that's a corner. Your enemy, that's a corner. Cat's Comment Corner. That's the real corner.
Okay, good. So, We're doing Cat's Comment Corner. I've just put in the theme tune. So I've wrangled a few comments over the past few weeks that I find interesting. So the first comment I've got isn't really a comment, it's more a post. It's called Podcast Bingo, which was posted by someone on Twitter that I thought I would apply to our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah? So if I read out all of the squares on the Podcast Bingo, and we'll see whether it applies to our show.
Okay.
So the first square is a Squarespace ad. That does not apply to us because so far we don't have any adverts. Moving on. Now, the second square
poor.
is rate and review on Apple Podcasts, which I feel that we do because we say...
That.
So that's a tick for that. Third square is this week on the pod. I don't think we do that, do we?
Yeah, no, we've done that with the challenges, like you sitting down on the toilet. Yeah, we've done that this week on the podcast.
Maybe.
And last week, we were like, this week on the podcast, we're talking about how much we hate Ryan fucking good at
You
the
sounded
stupid
even
paedophile.
more drunk than you did earlier.
Mate,
Moving on.
I can't see you. This is really... I've never been
I
this
can't
drunk
see
before.
you.
I genuinely don't think I've been this drunk before, and I'm a bit scared.
This is amazing. Anyway, next square
You got any food?
is a keyboard tapping in the background, which we don't do.
We got a keyboard!
I think it means like a computer keyboard as opposed to a musical keyboard. Jason just attempted to tap the keyboard, and in doing so, he paused the show. So if there's a slight hard edit there, then it's because Jason's drunk and trying to pause the show. Anyway,
I'm sorry, everybody.
next square is an episode longer than 60 minutes, which we haven't done.
We haven't done.
No, all right. Next one is no producer named in the credits, which
Sorry.
we don't do.
What was that?
No producer named in credits, which we don't have any producers because I
We don't have any friends. So we can't name
next
any
square is
producers.
am I allowed to say fuck? Oh god, yes. We haven't said that, but we do say fuck. So
Fuck it. We're an explicit brand. Fuck you.
next one is totally inappropriate music. I feel like our music is quite appropriate.
Our music's quite good. Your mate is really good on the music. So
CIPP.
Yeah. Anyone who wants any music for their videos or podcasts, definitely visit CIPP. He's really looked after us, and our shows, I feel, have been a much better quality with him advertised on our show.
Oh, yeah, am I recording? Yes, I am. Thank God for that. Carry on. Anyway, moving on. So, yeah, that. What else have we got? Physical descriptions of only women or persons of colour. I don't feel we do that.
No, we're not racist.
Well, I'm not racist.
Neither am I.
Okay, I feel like this one we are, and it's just two friends talking about pop culture. We're definitely that.
That's us.
Next square.
We're definitely friends.
Next show, we're definitely this one as well, is thanks for coming on the show. Glad to be here. We definitely say that. Okay. Next square is host asks questions and answers self with anecdote about own life. I definitely do that. Next one is 10-minute wind up before conversation actually starts.
Bingo!
I feel like that's us as well.
That is I just hit my knee on your pinky.
And the last one is cute blooper at the end of the episode after the credits. Now, I thought that we'd do that at the start of the show. We almost start the show with like a weird thing.
Yeah, we
Anyway.
do that way.
Yeah, anyway, moving on.
We're fucking podcastists. We should be number one.
I'm not sure that's true. But anyway, I've got a comment here. Now, this comment was made on a post about how in America a dog leant on some guy's shotgun and shot the owner in the head.
That's bollock.
Anyway, and the first comment on the Facebook page says that the only thing that stops a bad dog with a gun is a good dog with a gun. Which echoes the argument of the people who argue against gun control, is that the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. So apparently, all we need is like a Yorkshire Terrier with a shotgun, or like a sniper, to stop this bad dog with a sniper.
Question.
Yes.
Your dog is a very good dog.
It's
Dear
a very good
Bobby,
dog.
what would he be like with a gun?
I feel like he would lick the gun. I feel like he wouldn't know how to fire it. I think he'd be a very poor sniper.
Say he licked the trigger and fired a bullet.
Then he could definitely fire a gun.
Do you reckon he'd kill someone?
I think that it would depend on where the gun is like placed to fire.
Good question.
Good, yeah, I know. Anyway, moving
Where
on.
is Bobby? He's normally on the show.
Bobby is actually he is with Laura, who is at her parents' house.
Who doesn't listen to the show.
Thank God for that.
So
Anyway,
if you want to say anything bad about Laura, here's your chance.
fortunately, I don't, because she's a very lovely girlfriend, and
She's a lovely lady.
and she puts up with a lot. Anyway, moving
She
on.
puts up with you and this shit podcast.
Wait to sell your own podcast, Jason. And I've got this final comment, which is by someone on my Facebook who shall remain nameless, but their name is Sunny. And they say, I can count my real friends on one finger.
Is that me?
No, it isn't you. It's an actual person commenting that, which I think is an...
Start that again, because I could not see your screen. I'm that drunk.
I can count my real friends on one finger.
I don't know who that is.
Which I think is an extension of the phrase, I can count my real friends on one hand. but he has narrowed that to he can count his real friends on one finger, implying he only has one real friend. Which I think is a really weird way of going about that.
To be fair, I only really have one real friend.
Definitely not me.
And it's not you.
Yeah, I fully respect that.
Right, can we recap? How much alcohol have you drunk?
I drank pint of mojito with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I've drunk that. We drank 1 pint of spiced rum and coke.
Yes.
We drank a second pint of spiced rum and coke, which we had while we were doing this podcast.
Yes.
Which you finished, and we've also I've also finished that and also had a can of beer.
I haven't even finished a can of Southern Comfort lemonade, and I can't see straight.
Which is a very small can.
I don't know where you are. And I've also had a shot of our spiced rum.
Okay. Why don't you finish the show by having another shot of the spiced rum?
Yeah, fuck
and
it,
then
here we
and then telling the listeners what you think of that spiced rum. Let's bear in mind, by the way, Jason, that we also that we also have to record our new outro of the show, which I think might be difficult, seeing as you're so fucking drunk.
We also need to play our game this week, Catter's Comment Corner.
I've already done that. How drunk are you? Jesus! Do that. Alright. I'm gonna
comment.
I just told you the comment.
What was it?
It was podcast bingo. It was that guy about dogs, and it was count the friends on one finger. Anyway, do the shot. Let's end the show, Jason. I think you've had enough.
Oh my god.
God almighty.
I need to go home.
Do the shot.
Right, so I'm about to sip Captain Morgan's original spiced gold spirit drink.
My viewers, listeners, he is so drunk. And it's amazing. Alright, Jason, alright. Enough laughing. We've overrun by quite a while. Do a shot. That was quite a big gulp. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good for you. So
I would say I would drink that on a normal weekday before I started work.
Good for you.
Hence
Anyway,
why I get 5 sales a week.
Anyway, Jason, I think we're going to end the show there. It's just worth noticing that for all of the topics that I had, we've talked about maybe 2 of them.
Let's talk about one more before the show
No,
ends.
Jason, we're already at the end of the show. So
it's fine. One more.
No, I'm the host. We'll save it for next week. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. You've been great. Bye, everyone. Say bye, Jason.
Farewell, everybody.
If you want more Sweet Connection in your life, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube and Podbean. And if you want to support the show, you can give us a 5-star rating or a thumbs up, or you can recommend to a friend. You can find us on Facebook at Sweet Connection Podcast, and on Twitter we're at Sweet C Podcast. If you wanted to email in a question or a topic or just say hi, it's thesweetconnection@outlook.com. Massive thank you to CIPP for all our various jingles. Thank you for listening, and until next time, bye!